Prime Minister has lost control, yet he clings to power. He's lost control of immigration, lost control of the borders, lost control of spending, deficits, inflation, housing costs. In fact, his former, apparently, finance minister was trying to get spending under control by capping the deficit at an already crazy $40 billion. But he took carbon tax Carney's advice and pushed her beyond that guardrail and was trying to throw her off the cliff. She's now resigned minutes before presenting her fall economic update. This cannot go on. When will we have a carbon tax elected?
Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our government looks forward to presenting the fall economic statement later this afternoon. But I would also like to take this opportunity to extend my gratitude for all that the member from University Rosedale has accomplished for this country and will continue to do for this country. She has played an integral role in this government. First of all, standing up for Canada and defending NAFTA, bringing forward universal childcare, and the incredible work that she has done in defending Ukraine. We are very grateful for all that she's contributed to this government and to Canada. Thank you.
L'honorable chef de l'opposition.
I have a question for the finance minister. Who are you?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at a time when Canadians are struggling, we are happy to bring forward measures that are going to assist them. Things like the GST tax cut that took place starting this past Saturday, going until February 15th. And while the Conservative leader and the members of his caucus stay focused on us, we're going to stay focused on helping.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
C'est une question sérieuse, Monsieur le Président. Qui est en effet le ministre
Who
des Finances?
is the finance minister? After the finance minister's resignation this morning, automatically the industry minister became Minister of Finance. And congratulations. But he immediately quit. After him, in the line of precedence, it was the two Randys. Well, they don't want it. So now we don't have a finance minister just a couple of minutes before the fall economic statement will be presented. So where's the minister?
The Honourable Leader of the Government,
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons. As I said, our government is looking forward to presenting the fall economic statement later this afternoon. There are important measures in that update, measures that are important for Canadians. It's time for the Leader of the Conservatives to recognize that while he's focused on us, we are focused on Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, just to underline the chaos we're faced with here, the finance minister resigned the day she was to present the fall budget, which was going to contain a massive deficit overrun. The job then went automatically to the industry minister, who immediately resigned, like on the spot, which then went down the line, and the next person in order was the famous two Randys. And they're not available to do the job either. We're now less than 2 hours away from the fall economic update. Why won't the Prime Minister have the courage to come in here, present it himself, and put it for a confidence vote tonight?
I would like to remind all members, as I did during statements today, for members to be careful not to refer to other sitting members by their names, but to use their titles or to use their writing names. The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, Mr. Speaker, while the Leader of the Opposition continues to play politics in this place, we look forward to presenting the fall economic statement later this this afternoon that will have a series of important measures for Canadians, things that are going to help them with the affordability challenges, that are going to put Canada, Canadian jobs, and the Canadian economy first. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I would like to ask the honourable member from St. Albert, Edmonton, to please not take the floor when he is not recognized by the Speaker. L'honorable député de La Prairie.
For La Prairie. We already knew that between 20 and 40 Liberal MPs no longer had confidence in the Prime Minister. We also knew that 8 ministers would be jumping ship. Today, the Minister of Finance decided to step down instead of presenting the fall economic statement. She wrote, black and white, that she disagrees with the Prime Minister on the best path forward for Canada. So she has also taken away her confidence in the Prime Minister. We are watching this government, this Liberal government, fall apart, and it's pretty ugly to see. Will the Prime Minister call an election? The Honourable Government House Leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would like to thank my colleague for his question. As I mentioned, as a government, we are looking forward to presenting the fall economic statement later this afternoon. There are important measures in there for Canadians when it comes to affordability in particular, and we are exclusively focused on Canadians, and we will continue to protect Canadian economy and Canadian jobs. The honourable member for La Prairie. The Deputy Prime Minister has quit because of the Liberals' electoral handouts. She said that Canadians know when we're working for them and when we're focused on ourselves. Mr. Speaker, people can see through their political games. Quebecers don't want these political handouts. Businesses don't want them. Even the Finance Minister doesn't want them. The only person who wants these is the NDP leader and the Prime Minister of Canada. Will they finally stop sabotaging Canada's economy for, so they can buy votes? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And once again, I would like to thank my colleague for his question. Cutting the GST on essentials for Canadians is something that's important for many Canadians. And I've heard from many people in my riding who have said that this is something that is important for them. Restaurants, small and medium-sized businesses say that this is something that's important for them, and we are proud of having put that motion forward.
The honourable member from Burnaby South.
People can't afford their groceries. People can't find a home to call their own. And the Conservatives are
Order!
Just another reference.
The honourable member from Burnaby South from the top, please.
Canadians literally cannot afford the groceries they need. They can't afford to find a home to call their own. And now Trump, buddies of the Conservatives, MAGA Conservatives love this guy, Trump is threatening hundreds of thousands of jobs in Canada. And the Prime Minister is more focused on himself, on infighting. The Prime Minister cannot remain in that position. Will he resign?
The Honourable Minister for Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, this is not the time for slogan. This is not the time for partisanship. This is not a time to make jokes, Mr. Speaker. This is about rallying for Canadians. This is a time where Canadians need to know that this House and all the members are standing behind them, that we're going to invest in Canadians, that we're going to invest in this country, that we're going to invest in our workers, and that we're going to invest in our industry, Mr. Speaker, and that we're going to prepare Canada to be the best prepared to be able to deal with our U.S. friends. Mr. Speaker, this is the time where we show that we are all Canadians.
L'honorable député de Burnaby South.
Burnaby South.
So I'll ask again in French. Les gens de la misère.
People are having a very hard time paying for groceries. Young people can't find affordable housing. And beyond that, we have the threat of Trump's tariffs. And that's putting hundreds of thousands of jobs in Canada in danger. And instead of dealing with issues that are important for Canadians, the Prime Minister is dealing with fighting in his own party. It's clear that the Prime Minister cannot continue. Will he resign today, yes or no? The Honourable Minister of Innovation. Mr. Speaker, as I said, this isn't a time for jokes. This isn't a time for partisanship. It's certainly not a time for conservative slogans, Mr. Speaker. It's time, Mr. Speaker, to work together as parliamentarians to defend Canada, to invest in Canada, to defend our workers, to invest in our industry. And, Mr. Speaker, I call on all members of this House to do their civic duty to work for the good of Canada so that we can face the incoming American administration. Mr. Speaker, today we are all Canadians. Let's work together.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the NDP leader is absolutely right. This cannot continue. This Prime Minister cannot go on like this. Housing costs have doubled. Food bank use has doubled. The debt has doubled, gun crime has doubled, and now we face troubling tariff threats from a president who can see weakness coming from a mile away. The Prime Minister must leave this job, but there's only one person who can remove him, and that's the leader of the NDP. Yes. Will he put the country ahead of his pension and vote for a carbon tax election now?
Yes!
Eric. So, although the preamble to that question dealt with the administration of government, the question itself did not, and the chair has made it clear that we're not doing that. The honourable member from Thornhill.
Prime Minister has lost control. The Prime Minister's own deputy quit just hours before her economic statement, all of a sudden saying, Canadians know when we're focused on ourselves, and describing a newfound disdain for costly political gimmicks. Those are her quotes. This after her own political rival, Mark Carney, wrote the fall economic statement full of things that she didn't want to present. The old boys club isn't in charge. Canadians are. Right. And it's time for credible leadership in the seriousness of this moment, not the fake feminism of this phony Prime Minister. It's time for Canadians to decide. So will anyone or everyone over there finally agree?
Yeah. The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I mentioned earlier, we are looking forward today to presenting the fall economic statement that is going to have a series of important measures for Canadians. At a time like this, it is important that all of us band together, united as Canadians, to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect the Canadian economy, protect Canadian jobs, and to stand up for Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.